we talked about early in the year, we were going to do a live Passover feast, but we're not able to because we're not in class. So I am going to show you how to do a live Passover feast with your family. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope you get the chance to do one with your family. You can either use this video as a guide, or you can look down below at the links, and that should hopefully give you kind of an idea of what to do. But we're going to try and show you how the Passover feast was done back in olden days. We had talked about Passover when we were talking about Moses in Egypt, and how they made the Passover meal in remembrance of God saving them from their slavery with the angel of death who passed over their doors when they put lamb's blood on it. There you go. And so they do this meal every year in remembrance of that event. It's kind of like their version of the 4th of July or their Independence Day. So first things first, it is a communal meal. It's a meal that you take with your family. Usually they would probably have more than just their immediate family, so their grandmas and grandpas, their aunts, their uncles would all come and join. And so today I have with me my family. I have my mom, my brother, and my grandma, and we are going to all celebrate the feast. So first things first, what do you need? We have some not quite accurate or biblical stuff with us because of quarantine, and also because we don't live back in Bible times. We don't have a bunch of the stuff. So we kind of improvise. You can improvise too. So first thing you're going to need is a low table, okay? They do not have the big high tables. Like my mom is, she's sitting on a pillow. We are luckily on a couch, but most people would be just sitting on the floor, okay? So we have a low table. And then we have our 2 candles, because remember, no technology. It's nighttime, it's dinner. So we have candles to keep our light. Other things that you have, let's talk about food and drink. So we have our wine, but we used grape juice. You could use any kind of juice. They also had pomegranate juice. So you could use grape juice, pomegranate juice as your wine. We have a bucket of water. That's what they used to wash their hands. No fancy sinks. So the bucket of water for washing hands. We have this plate. It's called the Seder plate. Seder's kind of the word for all the stuff that happened during Passover. And so the fancy Seder plate had all the traditional foods on it. Our traditional foods are a little lacking, but these are some of the stuff that you might have it. So they had their unleavened bread, which they called matzah. And we don't have unleavened bread, but if you could use pita bread, or we use pita crackers. You could use just regular crackers like saltines or Ritz. They had a hard-boiled egg. They had bitter herbs, which represented the bitter tears of their slavery. So we just have celery because we don't want to eat bitter herbs. But you could use onion, garlic. Horseradish was kind of the bitter herb of their choice. And then their main dish was lamb, because of the whole sacrificial lamb, putting that lamb's blood up so they would not, the angel of death would pass over their door and they would not die. We do not eat lamb in this house, but we have a lamb who is going to symbolize our paschal lambness. Last but not least that you can have is a small bowl with water and salt, so salt water. Okay, we're going to dip stuff in that later. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go quickly through what each of these items means, what they represent, because it's a very symbolic meal. And then we're going to go through the first 2 rituals. Now they had a book, it's called I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, it's like the Haggadah. And it had all the procedures that they needed. Think of it like one of those hymnals or those things that had like matins in it that you could read off. We don't have that, so we have the internet. And so we're going to read the first 2 parts, and then the rest of it you're welcome to do at home, but hopefully this gives you an idea. So wine, common drink that they had. Pita bread or the matzah is to show, they had to make food really fast because they had to take it to go. They were free from slavery. They had it out there before Pharaoh changed his mind. So that's in remembrance of the quick meal that they had to make. Bitter herbs, they always say it's like for the crying or the bitter tears they had when they were in slavery. And the lamb, like we said, is the paschal lamb. So it represents that sacrifice that the meal represents. I think that's all I got. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first, I think it's 3 tradition, whatever. And the first thing is called the kindling of the festival lights, but it's pretty much Mom lights candles and says a funny blessing afterwards. So my mom is going to light the candles. We're going to stand up, and then she is going to read off the blessing. And we're going to say amen after. So wait till she lights the candles.
And the crowd stands up. Runs around.
Try not to catch anything on fire during this.
Okay.
You got it.
It's not working. Okay, we're not doing that.
That's okay. So we've lit one candle, and we are all going to stand up. And then our mother is going to read off the blessing.
Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by his commandments and commanded us to kindle the festival lights. Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive and sustained us and brought us to this season. May our home be consecrated, O God, by the light of thy countenance, shining upon us in blessing and bringing us peace. And we all say,
Amen. Okay, now you're going to sit down. So that was the first part. And then this part is called the Kiddush, which is the cup of Thanksgiving. It's like the blessing at the beginning of the festival. Because like you'll see in the Last Supper in Matthew, when Jesus did the Last Supper, he did like a prayer of Thanksgiving. So we're going to do the Father's prayer. I'm going to be the father in this case scenario because he is going to be the youngest child, which we'll get later. Okay? So I'm going to bless the meal. So I'm going to say, Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who hast chosen us above all people and hast exalted us above all tongues and hast allowed us with thy commandments. In love hast thou given us, O Lord our God, seasons for gladness, holy days, and times for rejoicing, this day of the feast of unleavened bread, the time of our freedom, an assembly day of holiness, a memorial to the exodus from Egypt. For thou hast chosen us and hast sanctified us above all peoples, and thou hast given us thy sacred seasons for inheritance. Blessed art thou, O Lord, who dost sanctify Israel and the festivals. Then you're going to distribute your wine.
Or grape Kool-Aid.
Or grape Kool-Aid, whatever it may be. And said participants can grab the Kool-Aid. Here, Grandma.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whatever you can't drink it, it's got sugar.
Okay, and then we're all going to say this, but because it's hard to say it when we don't know the words, I'm going to say it. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who dost create the fruit of the vine, and then you all drink from it. Okay. Then the father is going to ceremonial wash my hands in the pitcher. Got to protect us from the COVID. Okay. And then I'm going to say, Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who hast hallowed us with thy commandments and hast commanded us concerning the washing of hands. Now you're all going to take the green herb, which in our case scenario is celery. And you're going to dip it in the salt water. So everybody dip your herb in the salt water. And then we're all going to say, you can kind of say with me, Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who dost create the fruit of the soil. You're going to eat the green herb. Okay.
That's my
I would eat all the green herb, but for the sake of time, we're not going to eat all the green herb. As the father, I would lift up, if there was a cover on this, I'd lift it up, and I would show you the unleavened bread. And I would say, Behold, this is the bread of affliction, which our fathers ate in Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in want come and celebrate the Passover with us. May it be God's will to redeem us from all evil and all slavery. All right, we're on the home stretch, peeps. The third part is the cup of Haggadah, where the youngest person, who is my brother Cole, is is going to ask the 4 traditional questions. And I'm going to have him ask the 4 traditional questions.
Oh, thank you. Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we either eat leavened or unleavened bread. Why on this night do we only eat unleavened bread? On all other nights, we eat all kinds of herbs. Why on this night do we eat especially bitter herbs? On all other nights, we do not dip herbs in any condiment. Why on this night do we dip them in salt water and harrowing some other thing? On all other nights, we eat without special festivities. Why on this night do we hold this Passover service?
Okay, and so then the father would say a lot more words. He would reference the time back to Egypt, and we would all read from the book of Exodus, chapter 12, which you guys already read. The Paschal lamb would be brought in. The whole group would ask, what's the meaning of the Pesach? And it says, this means the Paschal lamb, which our forefathers sacrificed to the Lord in memory of that night, when the Holy One passed over the houses of our fathers in Egypt. And then they reference the Bible again, Exodus 12, 26 through 27. They ask the meaning of the unleavened bread, and the father explains what it means in relation to the Passover. So it is the bread that they made before having to leave Egypt in a rush. And then they talk about the bitter herb, which is called moro. And they talk about the Egyptians making their lives so bitter and terrible in slavery and how they're freed now. And actually, as free people, we get to lean to the left when we eat our food. Pretty much that means, like, instead of having to be super duper proper, we could recline ourselves because we're free people. There is so much more to this Passover meal than just those 3 little psalms that we did, but we're just going to show you those for now. If you have a desire to do the whole meal, just look at the links below and you can follow it. It's got a script for you. Thanks for joining us for our Passover meal. Bye.
All right, Mom, zoom.